Nearly 70% of global leadership perception is shaped not by policy, but by body language, tone, and presence. That means a single moment on stage can echo across continents. Now imagine this, a former president speaking before world leaders, forgetting key details of his own record, struggling through names, and appearing to drift off mid-event. Was it just exhaustion, a bad day, or something much bigger? Because in global politics, perception isn't just optics, it's power. In today's video, we're breaking down a moment that left audiences stunned and critics energized. From confusing remarks to awkward pauses and visible fatigue, this wasn't just another political speech. Experts in communication and diplomacy consistently warn that credibility is built in seconds and lost just as quickly. When leaders appear unfocused or unprepared, it raises serious questions about authority, image, and influence on the world stage. And in the age of viral clips, every second gets replayed, analyzed, and amplified. So what really happened? And why does it matter far beyond one event? Stay with us as we unpack 10 powerful reasons this moment is more significant than it first appears. If this breakdown made you think, drop an hour in the comments and tell us your honest take. We read every single one. We put serious effort into these deep dives, so hit subscribe, it's just one click. And help us keep bringing you sharp, fearless analysis. In international politics, perception is power. Studies in political communication consistently show that audiences form lasting impressions of leaders within seconds, often based more on posture, tone, and clarity than on the actual words being spoken. When a former president appears confused, struggles through names, or looks visibly fatigued during a high-profile global gathering, the impact goes far beyond that single room. World leaders are not just listening to policy proposals. They are watching for signals of focus, confidence, and command. A slight hesitation, a mispronounced name, or a wandering train of thought can quietly shape how seriously someone is taken on the world stage. And here's the reality most people overlook. Diplomacy is as much psychological as it is political. Researchers who study negotiation behavior emphasize that authority is often projected before it is proven. If a leader appears sharp, composed, and energized, it subconsciously reinforces strength. But if that same leader appears distracted or disengaged, even briefly, it opens the door for doubt. In global politics, doubt can shift leverage. Other leaders may begin recalculating strategies, reassessing alliances, or questioning long-term reliability. That's why moments like these don't just become viral clips, they become international talking points. This is especially true in the digital age, where every expression is captured in high definition and replayed millions of times within hours. What once might have been an unnoticed pause now becomes a looping symbol of competence, or the lack of it. Whether supporters dismiss it or critics amplify it, the visual remains. And in diplomacy, visuals linger. That's why global optics aren't superficial. They are strategic. If this insight made you see things differently, drop a perspective in the comments so we know you're thinking deeper. We put real effort into breaking these moments down clearly and honestly. So take 1 second, hit subscribe, and help us keep delivering sharp analysis that actually matters. In global leadership, details are everything. Remembering the names of countries, leaders, and agreements isn't just a formality. It signals preparation, respect, and command of the subject. Political science research shows that credibility is strengthened when leaders demonstrate mastery of specifics, especially in international settings. When a leader struggles to recall basic information about conflicts they claim to have influenced, it doesn't just create an awkward moment, it raises quiet questions about depth of involvement. In diplomacy, even small lapses can send unintended messages. If you can't clearly name the players, how deeply were you engaged in the process? There's also a psychological layer here. Negotiation experts explain that trust is often built on perceived competence. When someone appears fluent in the facts, audiences assume they are informed and capable. But when details are fuzzy, the perception shifts, and perception spreads fast. Other world leaders, analysts, and media outlets quickly interpret these signals. It becomes less about one forgotten name and more about overall preparedness. In international relations, where billions of dollars and national security decisions are at stake, preparedness equals reliability, and reliability equals influence. In today's hyper-connected world, those moments don't stay contained within one room. They circulate online, get clipped, replayed, and dissected by commentators across the political spectrum. Supporters may brush it off as a minor slip, while critics frame it as evidence of something bigger. Either way, the image sticks. Diplomatic credibility is fragile. It's built slowly but can weaken quickly. That's why details aren't trivial. They are the foundation of leadership authority on the world stage. If this breakdown helped you see why small moments can carry big weight, type "details matter" in the comments so we know you're watching closely. We invest serious time into researching and explaining these topics clearly. So take one click, hit subscribe, and help us keep bringing you analysis that goes beyond the headlines. We are no longer living in a world where awkward political moments fade away by the next news cycle. Today, every pause, every stumble, every strange comment is captured in high definition, clipped in seconds, and shared across millions of screens before the speech even ends. Media researchers have found that emotionally charged content, especially moments that feel surprising or uncomfortable, travels significantly faster online. That means what might once have been a minor, forgettable misstep can now become a viral symbol of competence or confusion. In politics, symbolism is powerful, and repetition strengthens perception. There's also something called negativity bias, a well-documented psychological phenomenon where people pay more attention to mistakes than to successes. If a speech contains 30 minutes of routine remarks but 30 seconds of visible confusion or fatigue, guess which part dominates headlines and social feeds? The dramatic clip wins every time. Algorithms amplify what triggers reaction, and reaction fuels reach. So even if supporters dismiss the moment, critics ensure it keeps circulating. The result? A short clip can shape the narrative far more than the full context ever could. This creates a new challenge for public figures. Performance isn't just happening in the room, it's happening online, permanently. Once a moment goes viral, it becomes searchable, replayable, and endlessly analyzed. Diplomacy now competes with digital optics. Whether fair or not, leaders are judged not just by policy outcomes, but by how steady and sharp they appear under the spotlight. In this environment, small slips aren't small anymore. They become defining visuals. If this made you think about how powerful social media really is, drop a viral effect in the comments. We put serious time into breaking down the psychology behind these moments, so take 1 second, hit subscribe, and help us keep delivering content that goes deeper than the surface. Leadership at the highest level is demanding, exhausting, and relentless. Long meetings, constant travel, high-pressure negotiations, it's not a light workload. But here's the reality: when a leader appears visibly tired, unfocused, or disengaged during a major international event, people don't just see exhaustion, they see potential vulnerability. Research in executive performance and decision-making shows that fatigue can impair concentration, slow reaction time, and reduce clarity of thought. Now imagine that perception playing out in front of global leaders, cameras rolling, analysts watching closely. Whether it's fair or not, viewers begin asking quiet questions. Is this just a long day or something more? There's also a symbolic dimension to energy. In politics, energy is often equated with strength and control. A steady voice, alert posture, sharp responses, these create an image of command. But moments of visible drowsiness or mental drift can shift that image quickly. Negotiation experts point out that opponents often assess stamina as part of strategic evaluation. If someone appears fatigued, others may subconsciously calculate advantage. Even if the reality is harmless, jet lag, a packed schedule, normal human tiredness, the optics can tell a different story. And in leadership, optics shape influence. What makes this even more significant is how quickly such moments become symbolic. A brief clip of closed eyes or slowed speech can be replayed endlessly, detached from context, and turned into a larger narrative about capability. Supporters may defend it, critics may amplify it, but the image sticks. In a world where perception often outweighs explanation, visible fatigue doesn't stay neutral. It becomes part of the leadership storyline. If this made you reflect on how much energy influences perception, comment "Leadership Matters" below. We dedicate real effort to unpacking these complex dynamics clearly, so take one simple click, hit subscribe, and help us continue producing analysis that truly digs deeper. Humor can be a powerful political tool. A well-timed joke can relax the room, build connection, and humanize a leader. Communication research even shows that appropriate humor can increase likability and audience engagement. But there's a fine line between strategic humor and distraction. When jokes shift toward personal comments, awkward references, or remarks that feel out of place for the setting, the original message gets buried. Instead of talking about policy, diplomacy, or leadership goals, the audience ends up debating the comment itself. And in high-stakes international settings, that shift matters. There's also the issue of context. What might land as playful banter at a rally can feel completely different in front of diplomats and world leaders. Studies in audience perception show that people evaluate humor based on setting and tone. If the humor appears forced, off-topic, or inappropriate, it can weaken authority instead of strengthening it. Instead of appearing confident, a leader may appear unfocused or impulsive. And once that perception takes hold, it's difficult to redirect attention back to serious issues. The spotlight moves from substance to spectacle. In today's digital environment, that spectacle spreads fast. A single joke can overshadow an entire speech, becoming the headline, the trending clip, the talking point for days. Supporters may laugh it off, critics may condemn it, but either way, the serious message fades into the background. Leadership communication requires precision, especially on a global stage. When humor crosses the line, it doesn't just create a moment of discomfort, it reshapes the narrative entirely. If you believe words carry weight, comment, choose wisely below so we know you're paying attention. We put serious time and effort into breaking down these moments clearly for you. So take one quick second, hit subscribe, and help us keep delivering thoughtful, in-depth analysis. Strong leadership communication depends on one critical factor: clarity. When a speaker delivers a message with focus, structure, and precision, audiences walk away understanding the key point. But when remarks become scattered, repetitive, or difficult to follow, the central message begins to fade. Communication experts consistently emphasize that authority is reinforced through organized thinking. If a leader appears to jump between topics, lose their train of thought, or struggle to articulate key ideas, it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty, especially in global politics, can quietly chip away at confidence. There's a psychological principle at play here called cognitive fluency. It refers to how easily information is processed by the listener. When ideas are presented smoothly and logically, people are more likely to view the speaker as intelligent and credible. But when speech feels disjointed or confusing, audiences subconsciously rate the message and the messenger as less reliable. It's not always about what is being said, it's about how clearly it's delivered. In diplomatic settings where every word can influence markets, alliances, and negotiations, clarity isn't optional, it's strategic. In moments where confusion takes center stage, the narrative quickly shifts. Instead of discussing policies or achievements, observers begin focusing on delivery problems. Media analysis turns toward tone and coherence rather than substance. Supporters may argue the intent was clear, while critics highlight the inconsistencies. Either way, the core message gets diluted, and once clarity is lost, regaining control of the narrative becomes much harder. Leadership on the world stage requires more than bold statements. It demands steady, focused communication. If this breakdown helped you understand why delivery matters as much as content, comment "Clarity wins" below. We invest real time and research into crafting these analyses for you. So take one click, hit subscribe, and support content that goes beyond surface-level reactions. Sometimes the most revealing moments in politics aren't spoken, they're silent. When cameras pan across aides, advisors, and officials standing behind a leader, viewers catch subtle but powerful signals: a tense expression, a forced smile, a quick glance exchanged between staff members. Behavioral research shows that humans are incredibly sensitive to micro-expressions and body language, even when we don't consciously realize it. If the people closest to a leader appear uneasy or surprised, audiences instinctively pick up on that shift. And once that seed of doubt is planted, it grows. Political communication experts often note that staff reactions act as a kind of real-time feedback. When remarks land well, you see nods, relaxed posture, and natural engagement. But when something unexpected happens, a confusing statement, an awkward comment, or a visible lapse, the body language behind the speaker can tell a different story. In high-profile events, staff members are trained to maintain composure, so when subtle discomfort breaks through, it becomes even more noticeable. Viewers begin to wonder, what do they know that we don't? In today's media environment, those reaction shots don't disappear. They get clipped, zoomed in, slowed down, and analyzed across platforms. A single raised eyebrow can become a trending topic. Supporters may dismiss it as overanalysis, while critics frame it as revealing. Either way, the optics expand beyond the speech itself. Leadership isn't judged in isolation, it's judged in context. And when the surrounding team appears unsettled, it shapes how the moment is interpreted. If you've ever noticed the background reactions as much as the speech itself, comment body language below. We spend serious time examining the details others overlook, so take one simple click, hit subscribe, and help us keep producing thoughtful analysis that truly connects the dots. Every major political figure thinks about legacy. How will history remember them? What headlines will define their time in power? What monuments, policies, or diplomatic breakthroughs will carry their name forward? Psychologists who study leadership motivation explain that legacy becomes even more important later in a career. Leaders often shift focus from short-term wins to long-term reputation. But here's the challenge. Legacy is built in the present moment. It's not shaped by what someone says about themselves. It's shaped by how they perform under pressure right now. When a leader emphasizes past accomplishments while appearing unfocused in the current moment, it creates a disconnect. Audiences don't just evaluate historical claims, they measure them against present performance. Communication research shows that consistency between message and behavior is key to credibility. If someone speaks about strength, control, and success, but their delivery feels scattered or low energy, viewers experience what's called cognitive dissonance. The story being told doesn't match what they're seeing, and when that gap grows too wide, confidence weakens. History tends to remember defining images more than detailed explanations. A powerful speech, a firm handshake, a decisive moment of leadership. But it can also remember awkward pauses, viral clips, or symbolic missteps. In the age of constant recording and instant replay, present performance becomes permanent record. That's why focusing on legacy without reinforcing it through consistent, sharp appearances can backfire. Reputation isn't carved into stone by intention. It's carved by repetition of visible moments. If this perspective changed how you think about political legacy, comment History Watches below. We put genuine effort into analyzing these deeper dynamics for you. So take one quick second, hit subscribe, and help us continue creating thoughtful content that goes beyond the obvious.
One of the most fascinating dynamics in modern politics is how the exact same event can produce two completely opposite interpretations. Political psychology research shows that people don't process information neutrally. They filter it through existing beliefs. This is known as confirmation bias. Supporters tend to interpret awkward pauses or verbal slips as harmless, even humanizing. Critics, on the other hand, may interpret the same behavior as alarming or disqualifying. The event itself doesn't change, the lens does, and in today's polarized environment, those lenses are stronger than ever. This split reaction isn't accidental. Studies on partisan identity reveal that political affiliation often becomes part of a person's core identity. When that happens, defending or criticizing a leader feels personal. So when moments of confusion, fatigue, or controversial remarks occur, they quickly become symbolic battles. One side says it's overblown media spin. The other says it confirms deeper concerns. As a result, the conversation shifts from objective observation to emotional defense, and once emotion dominates, constructive debate becomes much harder. What makes this especially powerful is how social media amplifies each side within its own echo chamber. Algorithms tend to show users content that reinforces what they already believe. So supporters mostly see defenses and critics mostly see attacks. This creates two parallel narratives moving at the same time. The result, a single moment becomes two entirely different stories depending on who is watching. And that polarization doesn't just affect online arguments, it shapes public trust, voter behavior, and long-term political stability. If you've noticed how divided reactions can be, comment two sides below. We dedicate real time and effort to breaking down these complex dynamics clearly. So take one simple click, hit subscribe, and support content that challenges you to think beyond the headlines. At the highest levels of power, leadership is never judged by policy alone. It's judged by presence, composure, and perception. Political scientists have long emphasized that public confidence plays a crucial role in national and international influence. A leader may have detailed plans and strategic goals, but if the public or other world leaders begin questioning their steadiness or focus, that doubt can quietly shape negotiations and alliances. Confidence isn't just emotional support, it's political currency. And once that currency weakens, rebuilding it becomes an uphill battle. There's also a powerful psychological factor known as the halo effect. When a leader appears sharp, energetic, and clear, audiences tend to assume broader competence in other areas. But the reverse is also true. If visible moments suggest confusion or fatigue, people may subconsciously generalize that perception to overall capability. It's not always fair, but it's human nature. In global diplomacy, where image and authority are constantly evaluated, perception can influence everything from trade discussions to security partnerships. Leaders are assessed not only for what they say, but for how convincingly they embody control. In the end, moments like these resonate because they touch on something bigger than one speech. They raise questions about readiness, image, and the balance between narrative and reality. Whether someone views the moment as insignificant or symbolic, it becomes part of the larger story shaping public opinion. And in modern politics, perception doesn't just follow policy, it often drives it. That's why leadership isn't only about decisions behind closed doors, it's about the image projected when the world is watching. If this final point made you think deeper about perception and power, comment "Perception is power" below. We put serious effort into crafting thoughtful, research-backed analysis for you. So take one quick click, hit subscribe, and help us continue delivering content that truly makes you think.